Welcome back. How are you feeling?
Excited. This is the Between the Sheets podcast with
Nathan.
and Sabrina Dennis.
Welcome. Thank you, everybody that's listening and tuning in. We don't take it for granted. You listening. There's so many podcasts out there, but you've chosen to be with us.
Thank you. We do appreciate it.
It's a great honor.
It's nice.
So this topic is around faith, fear, struggle. Personally,
This
I
is
think
a big one.
This one's probably my favorite.
Really?
I think it is because, obviously, let's just, for those who are just listening for the first time, we're a husband and wife team. Mm-hmm. We run our charity. We have our own business. We have 4 daughters. We're coming up to now 17 years of marriage. Mm-hmm. And the truth of the matter is we're in a season now where we're finally starting to see the manifestation of some of the things that we prayed about. Some of the things that were just on our vision board of like, I remember doing a vision board with the family and with yourself, and we was cutting out pictures of Mickey Mouse and saying we want to take the family to Florida. Yeah. We said that we wanted them to go back, or not go back, but have the opportunity to go to Jamaica and
see our family's lives and
the heritage,
the history.
Where we're coming from as like Black British family with Jamaican heritage, and even me with that German car. And you remember that vision board?
That vision board, and I remember you going and speaking at different conferences, doing youth conferences and stuff, and saying, we're all going to do vision boards, guys. This is on my vision board, the white German car. And yeah, it's been around. We've ticked the boxes.
Yeah, and
it's been amazing.
It's humbling. It's a blessing to know that we've actually manifested a lot of things that were just a vision.
Yeah.
You know, there's a song that says, it was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazines. But like, we're seeing it. We're in a season now where we can literally feel like we're making progress. Mm. But for me, why this one is just so beautiful is we're going to go back. We're going to talk about the struggle, the faith, the tears, the fear, I've made a massive life decision to come off road, which means that basically I was doing illegal things to make money. Yeah. I've become a born again Christian. I've left a certain lifestyle.
Yeah.
And we're on a journey. Become a born again Christian. I get called by Jesus Christ and I accept him as my personal Lord and Savior, which is absolutely a fantastic thing that happened. Like so emotional, so enlightening, just so awakening. I was awoke. I was just like, wow, did all this stuff that I didn't realize. Mm-hmm. And high, high in terms of spiritually high, like thinking I can like
take on the world, do anything, go for it.
In a short period of time, I get this realization after reading the book Sexual Integrity by Dr. Edwin Cole that actually you're my wife. And I'm like, I want to get married to you. And now we started to get down. I propose.
Yeah.
We're engaged. And the first piece of faith was, hold on, I've given up this lifestyle, how I was making money. And now I got to pay for a wedding.
How are we going to get this money?
I won't get this money.
How are we going to pay for this wedding? And
how did you feel about that? Because I know how I was feeling as a man. I was feeling like super pressure, super like, oh my God. But I did have this, because of my experience with God and through faith, I just had this belief that everything's going to be all right. How did you feel?
I had that belief, but I had real like deep anxiety. Like, are we absolutely stupid? What are we doing? Trying to do all of this with like whatever little money that we had coming in, which was like temporary, like I had agency work and like child benefit payments and that's like £13.60 or something like that.
So what's
I can remember thinking we are being silly, and everything in me is like, nah, this is stupidness. You need to sort it out.
You know what's funny? Because obviously
faith is not doing it right now.
what's interesting, like, let's keep it real now, yeah? The road persona was Skipper Dunn, yeah?
Yeah.
And even though I had given up road activities to make money, what took longer to die was pride, was liking nice things.
I would agree.
And
I would 1,000,000%
So obviously,
agree.
I'm planning a wedding.
You're planning a wedding like you're a millionaire. Because why have we gone to the wedding show? And this is a lesson, guys. You just don't do this. Like, in my head, I was thinking, right, we're going to have a wedding. We're going to get married. It's going to be beautiful. And actually, the very truthful fact is, you were way more on the aesthetics of the wedding. You picked the colours.
Orange.
You picked the where it's going to be. You picked the venue. The cars. You picked everything. Like, we had savings and money running. There was no money running. So,
but what was running with prayer?
You was running with prayer, and I was running with the reality that there's no money. That's what I was running with. Yeah. So I can remember having a very strong conversation with you about chair covers. Do you remember this? Because you was adamant we have to have chair covers. The wedding reception was the whole suite at Aston Villa, and it was a beautiful room anyway. But you were like, nah, we have to have chair covers, and we have to have this, and this. And I was like, mate, no one's going to even see the chair covers when they're sitting down.
Yeah, because if you're coming to my wedding...
but you're coming to my wedding, you have to have this and that. And I'm going to the wedding fair, the wedding show at the NEC, and we were just supposed to be there for inspiration. But Nathan finds like invitations that we want, but they are the most expensive invitations.
But we've got them.
We got.
You have to rate, man.
Rate, man. Still gave me high blood pressure and a headache.
Because everything that I've wanted, I've got.
You did. You got through. But we did have a real scenario because we didn't have enough money
for the venue.
Yeah. The day up to the day before, and I remember doing something. This is how you know we're crazy, you know, because I didn't have enough money for my hair and my makeup, which you probably wouldn't know, but my mum paid for that in the end. And we didn't have enough money. There was like a final balance of the venue.
Yeah, and there was foreigners saying that they're going to cancel
the wedding. They're going to cancel the wedding
if we do not pay the balance.
We don't pay the balance.
And I remember
saying to Nathan was like...
We spoke to each other probably like 30 times that day.
Yeah, you phoned me.
I'm saying...
And I just kept checking my account like something magical was going to happen and money. Yeah, like $3,000 was going to just jump into my account.
But it wasn't $3,000, it was about £300.
Oh, it was a lot more than £300.
£300?
It was a lot more than £300.
I can't remember the figure.
But it was a lot.
I was funny every... Half an hour, every 15 minutes.
Have you got some more money now?
As money come, and I'm like checking because that's how much I was trusting God. I said, I know God is not going to leave me nor forsake me, and I was putting a demand. And a long story short, 15 minutes before the deadline, 5:00. I was in the car park praying. It's like, what is going on? Then a friend knocked the window in my car, and says,
"What do you need?
What do you need?" Mm-hmm. And I said to him, "No problem, sort it." I went into the venue and paid it.
Yeah.
And got married the next day.
And then the venue then said...
Waymaker.
They never said that.
The
venue said, oh, you could have just wrote us a check. And then when you got your gifts from your wedding, paid for it with the gifts. And I was like, no one wants to pay. Because with those gifts from the wedding, we ended up living off that money.
So that was the kind of like first...
That was this first faith
and I think, to be honest, and that's what was interesting about some of the hard times that we went through, because I think I got accustomed to the fact that God would always come through for us, especially in the early days. So the wedding, it happened. It was an amazing wedding. Now, when you hear about people's prices, £9,000 that we spent.
£9,000, I mean, what is that? I don't even know what people are doing with that now. I don't think you're doing anything. That.
Probably get photos. Some of the quotes to get from these companies anyway. But anyway, yeah.
That's for another episode.
So that was the first thing. But then real life kicked in. We married, you know, and I want to, even if anyone listens that was a part of our wedding, like our cards, we had thousands of pounds.
Yeah, we had money dropping like
so much money. We was in that hotel room opening up our cards.
Yeah. Bagging up money. We literally had
It was
a
like,
carrier
it was on the
bag.
bed, innit?
Yeah.
Like a bed like this, actually.
And we was opening up the cards and the money's just dropping out.
£50,
I remember you put it all
£80.
in a carrier bag.
Yeah, like
There's
thousands.
thousands of pounds that we got as gifts, which was beautiful because
It really laid the foundation.
It helped us a
really
lot.
helped us.
We had our honeymoon, and we had that money for some of that for the honeymoon, but then we were able to use that to just kind of live for a bit.
Yeah.
Because
Fat back for a moment.
yeah, skip a fap. He was all right for a minute, and then real life hit because the money that you was accustomed to, suppose the standard that we're both accustomed to, like we both come from in our own particular ways, kind of like a privileged state in it. So we weren't really
It wasn't privileged
because of money, but we just had our own ways. We wasn't struggling. Like we could still go out. Like all right, you was making money from the road, but that means you could still do things in it.
Yeah.
I was okay. I would live
Even
at
though
home
it's
and
hard
do
to, because I
stuff.
was thinking to say the figures, but would it even make sense for people now? Because it's like 20 years ago.
21 years ago.
Yeah, you could say. So in a week making £1,000, that's still good, isn't it?
I like to think so.
Even if it was 17.
Some people are doing that in a month.
Okay, yeah, so it's still it's okay, yeah.
I think it's okay.
Yeah, so
like
road
some
life
people,
can bring in that
it
kind
was
of
bringing in
crazy
a lot
money.
of money.
And obviously through faith, I've given up all of that
Yeah.
to, become a born again Christian, walk this path, and now there's no money coming in.
Yeah.
And that mentally was hard because when you're in a church service or you're going to church or a prayer meeting, you can get to that spiritual high and you feel okay. But when you leave and you go back home and you're looking at your wife and your children or your child at the time, because it's just to me in the first, you go through times where you doubt, like, have I made the right decision? And have you made the right choices? And there was times where I didn't know, like, what, like, it was really painful for me. Like, I shed so much tears of, like, doubt, tears of, like, have I made the right decision? I remember, like, we're living in a bed sit.
It wasn't a bed sit. When we were married, we had to leave the flat that had lived in with just me and Tamina for a while because the woman wanted her property back. So we had to leave from there. And that was like a 2-bedroomed flat type of thing. Kitchen, dining room, 2 bedrooms, bathroom. It's actually quite spacious for a flat. And then moved into a 1-bedroom studio apartment in the city centre.
Well, I think go back though a bit, because I think we were going through. I think we need to go back and give the context, because you can hear 2-bedroom apartment, but that mean nothing. It was in Great Bar. It was nice.
Yeah, it was
in
nice.
terms of, but the harsh reality is we didn't even have money to buy furniture.
No, we wasn't living. So living there, I was living there because my mum and dad were going through their divorce. So my mum had to move out of the house, sell the house. And then I actually needed somewhere to live. So she knew a person that had this flat in Great Bar. And she said, oh, you can live in there. It's empty. It was actually empty. Like, there was old carpet in there, and that was it. There wasn't a cooker. There was no furniture, nothing. And I remember just saying, okay, we were just going to move in there. The only person's room that was sorted was Tamina's room, because obviously as a baby, she had all of her things, a cot and that, and a wardrobe. And I had a bed. There was no sofas.
There was no bed.
There was a bed, and then it broke.
No, there's a picture that I remember posting on social media with me holding Tamina and wearing my academics tracksuit.
Yeah.
And we're literally sitting on the floor.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because of choice. We just didn't have no money to buy the sofas. There was no chairs. And I remember, I think your mum donated her chairs.
Yeah, so when she was moving out of the house, rather than give the furniture away, she gave me all the furniture. So it was a dining room, table and chairs. Then there was the chairs. That was from the
and it was like old-fashioned furniture.
Proper, like, mahogany.
Yeah,
dark wood furniture. And that was the start. And then the woman wanted her flat back.
And that was just
that was like a nightmare, because we just got married. I just found out I was pregnant. And now we have to move again. But where we're moving to can't fit none of this furniture in.
Yeah, I think that's where I started to get the job at the youth job with Law Leisure. God rest his soul, John.
Yeah.
And but I remember particular a moment that was really hard for me, man. It was going shopping. He had to buy some food in the house. There's no food. There was even a time there was no fridge in it. Because I
Yeah.
remember putting our stuff in a bowl of water.
Yeah. Yeah. That was at when we moved from
No. In the I
the
remember.
first flat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the apartment.
We didn't have nothing.
Yeah, I can remember putting the milk in the
Bowl of water.
run the water to get cold, and the bowl of cold water was the refrigerator to hold the stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember going to walking to the shop. Obviously, got no car. We walked to the shop together, and for some reason, I thought I had a bit of money in my account. I've gone to the cash machine, and it comes back and it says insufficient funds. So then I phoned the bank or went into the actual bank, and I says, "Oh, what money's then?" I think they said I had something like £7 left. So I said, "Oh, can I just take out £5, please?" So they gave me a £5 note. I remember standing outside the Iceland in Great Bar, Birmingham, and I said to you, "We got to pray." And I said, I didn't. I said, hold the fiver.
We stood at Scott Arms.
Yeah, outside the
On the
Iceland.
street outside Iceland.
And I closed my eyes and I said, dear Lord, I don't know how we're going to do this, but I pray that you make a way and make this £5 stretch so I can feed my family. And I gave you the £5, and then you walked in before me. And I just broke into tears. I was just literally crying. I couldn't believe. Because you have to understand, from the lifestyle I was living, I had those shoe boxes of money, counting out the money and putting it into a shoebox, cash. And I was now living for God, but I only got £5 left. Yeah. And I was just crying. And I just remember saying, God, help me, because this is hard. And you have those thoughts of like, should I go and do something crazy? And I says, no, I don't want to go back into that lifestyle. But I would want people who's listening to this to say that like that was like 17 years ago.
Yeah, and
God makes a way.
God makes a way because we're still here, and we ate that day. I remember going in with that £5 and coming out with like a bag of shopping.
What were some of the things that you
budgeting?
Remember? Go on.
I remember budgeting, like, and then I can say these words and have like articulate it now. But I guess back then it was making the money stretch, and it like I can remember like saying, Nathan, we don't have enough money to buy the milk. We need about 10 or £11, and I don't have 10 or £11. I can remember using, and you went and
how was it
asked
for you,
a
though?
friend
How did
for
that
money.
feel? Though?
It felt horrible. I can remember thinking on days like, this is not what it's supposed to be like. Like, it's not. You're not supposed to get married and feel like you haven't got enough to provide for your family or for each other. I can remember feeling just like kind of rubbish.
How did you believe in me? Because for me, I felt like you believed in me. How did you believe that? Like, how did you do it? In a sense?
Well, at the same time, you were doing first class, so
Okay.
let's like, even though what we were going through personally was happening, I could see that there was light for the stuff that was happening with first class, and there was like little tiny shoots of hope that was coming up, and I could see that because you would always talk about meetings that you're going to and people that you're going to talk to, and I remember just saying to myself, like, he's going to come home one day and there's going to be money. It's going to be money. Mm-hmm. What my biggest thing was, I didn't want you to go back.
Okay.
I just did not want you to go back. I didn't want the potential trauma, because we'd already seen a little bit of what could happen, like when Tamina was born.
So what happened for me then, if I say? So you was living in the apartment before we've gone into the apartment. I'm obviously still living at my mum's house at times, innit? Before we got married. Mm-hmm. And I remember having a mobile phone, and I'm saying I'm staying up first class, and I would literally pray and read my Bible for the whole day, and look at my phone and speak to the phone and say, "Someone phone it," and I'd be like literally walking up and down in my living room. I remember saying to my mum, "Can I use the front room? We know the back room, which is the living room,
as the office,
as my office during this time." I says that, but these are the rules, Mum. Don't ask me to wash up. Don't ask me to do no housework because I'm running my business. And I didn't know what I was doing. Let's be honest. All I knew to do was pray and read my Bible. And I remember who phoned me, the first opportunity I have. And I remember, I think it was about £3,000, my first ever opportunity that came through to put on an event. And what those moments taught me, so, being able to pay for the wedding, being able to get these phone calls out of the blue, it kind of started to make sense of like scriptures that I was reading about. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So I used to really start to really get into my faith, get into like being at every service, going to different like Bible studies and stuff like that. And that really helped me with my mental health, and helped me with having hope for a better future. How do you think those hard days, no money, we didn't have a fridge, there's been times when we didn't have a sofa, we sitting on the floor. I remember the first time we bought our first furniture together with the bed and the leather
sofas, and we had this little table with chairs.
Yeah, and we felt so proud. It took so long to save up our little money. Yeah. And we went to the shop in Allen Rock.
X catalogue shop.
Yeah, and just like bought our stuff.
Bargains, good. We had then it was a nice living arrangement. Like,
so, but what do you think? Good. Some of the what are the principles coming out of this season?
The principles of that is that, you know what, it's character building, the resilience, and I know how to budget. I know how to do things on a shoestring, and I know to do things in, you know, lots of extravagance. I can do it both ways. I think it taught us. We had some of the best times when we had no money, because we had to be creative. We had to spend time.
Why do you say those the best times?
Because we had to talk to each other. We had to share. We had to, you know, really think about what it is we wanted and what would make us happy. And it wasn't things we wanted. I think back then we wanted the things to make our life easier, but at the same time we needed each other. Because when you're going through, you're breaking down outside of Iceland because it's only £5, you needed me to be able to say it's going to be okay. When I'm feeling anxious, like, oh God, I'm a crap mum now because I can't feed my baby, you're telling me, no, it's going to be okay. Like, it was in them times when we probably built up the most intimacy.
I'm glad you said that, because that's my, like, it sounds crazy. I can't say I miss those days, but I definitely would say that I think we are so strong today because of that. The building blocks that we put in place and the hardship, it kind of like, you know how they say how diamonds are formed through fire? Because when it's all said and done, when we closed our door, it was just me and you.
Yeah.
It was me and you praying. It was me and you talking, conversating, having dreams about the future. Then we started to get really creative and do vision boards and start to think about what the future could look like, the things that we'd like to try and achieve. But it was hard, man. It was so.
Yeah, I don't miss the feelings of anxiety,
no, I don't miss that.
You know, like that. But
I miss that.
I miss that.
The working it out together.
Yeah, because now we're working it, but I think now it's become automatic. So now we just talk about everything all the time. And it's like the reason there could be a really hard situation, but we're not having to sit down and be like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do now? Because we talk about it all the time, it hasn't come up.
So what I would be saying to listeners, to people that tune in, where you are today doesn't necessarily determine where you're going to be in the future. Like, don't make your current circumstances dictate or deter you from your dreams.
Yeah.
Because I have dreams, I still do have dreams. And to think about how far God has brought us from, we've got 4 kids now. You know, so we own our own home.
Yeah.
We both now drive.
Yeah.
We've been on so much holidays.
Trips and holidays.
Last year we had our first, after 17 years from our 16 years of our honeymoon, was able to go away together back to our honeymoon location. There's a scripture that says, write the vision and make it plain. It talks about faith is the substance of things hoped for. I remember the time, right, when the red letters were coming in, and I was, again, it sounds like all I do is cry. But
you said it, I didn't say it.
I started to literally speak life over my situation, and they started to declare, because I had a scripture that came to me from Ezekiel that talked about, can these dry bones live again? And we was in a dry situation, finances wasn't running, and God really challenged me to start to speak and declare what I wanted to see. And I want to encourage people that, like, if you're listening to this, I want you to write a list of all the things you want to see and shout them out loud in your house. Put them up on the wall.
Remind yourself and believe that
I
they can
want to do this. Like, I want this podcast to be one of the best podcasts in the world. I want us to fill events and stadiums and really inspire and connect with people in a deep way.
But I want to add on to that, because there is something about writing it down, but there's also the action that you have to have. And for us, we did a lot of work. Like, yeah, we knew that there was no money. We had fallen into an immense amount of debt. When the first company closed, it closed with debt. So that had to be covered.
True.
And the reality is we couldn't just say to that, I want that to go away. We had to look at it and confess it and deal with it. And so we did.
Don't bury your head in the sand.
Yeah, don't bury your head in the sand. Like, we did have to go speak to Citizens Advice, and we did have to make up arrangements and payment arrangements with different people that we owed for creditors. And, you know, we had to sort out a house because we could have, we just moved into a house and then we could have lost it.
So just for timeline, because people might not understand this.
There's so many different times, isn't there, really?
First, flat, gone into an apartment. During that time in the apartment, we've got 2 children now.
Yeah.
I actually say to you, you and the children stay in the bedroom because there's not enough space on the bed for me. And I used to put the sofas together.
Yeah, we used to push them together.
And I used to sleep on the sofa for about 3 years, you remember? Yeah. But every night I would pray and I say, God, please, can I buy a house? I want to buy a house for my family. And I'll go to every church service. I would give like big offerings and sow seeds and do all the stuff that I learned through the faith, you know, about tithing, about giving offerings, about serving in the house, just having that faith. And long story short, because that's a whole story about the miracle of the house.
There's a whole story there.
But what I would say to you, for those who are listening, the home builders, we bought a brand new house, and the home builders actually transferred money to us for us to buy their house.
Yeah,
I'm talking about miracles, signs and wonders. The building company has never done that in their history.
Never.
But the managing director felt led. But we know and believe that God.
It was a miracle.
God touched his heart
to say, we want them to have that deposit. So they gave us the deposit, essentially. Yeah. Some of the deposit. We had some saved.
Yeah, we had some saved, but we were short. They paid for us to buy their house. And we live in that house. And
when you say it like that, it sounds mad.
Yeah, but that's the short
truth.
version.
I know, but it's the truth.
But then obviously we've moved into the house.
Yeah.
There's a change of governments happened. 2011's hit. Labour's come out of power. Conservatives come in, and then austerity. Then all of a sudden, all my contracts and everything just ended.
How did it feel and around having to provide? You know, like mentally, how did you feel during that time?
It was so hard because not only I didn't have the money to provide. I'm trying to like die to this person that people have perceived me to. I've been in my circle of like Skipper Dunn, this roadman. You got to understand, when I was doing that life, private plate golf, like
I remember that
noisy, big chain,
yeah, showy,
shot diamond watch.
Oh yeah,
buy champagne in dances. So there's a different, like I was really trying to do the MTV Cribs, like I'm trying to be like, yo, that American culture. I'm here.
Yeah.
So because I was so loud, when I'm like broke, that's hard because some of my identity was wrapped up with him, with who I thought I was, and what I thought it was to be a man. And then now I'm learning manhood by like a test of fire because I've got 2 children now, I'm married, and I'm not really sure what to do. I know I've got some skills. I know that I can sell. I know how to do stuff like that. And it's like, I felt like God really started to really encourage me in a way to say, look, you may have given up that lifestyle, but you have transferable skills. That's why I wrote the program that I deliver young people, Street Smart to Business Start, because I started to realize that I do know about supply and demand. I do know about marketing. I actually know about sales. I actually know about human resources, managing people. And I transferred all of that into this new life and I really tried to go for it. But it was lonely. I struggled with loneliness, obviously, as a social person as well. And just not really knowing how to maneuver, because not only was like my financial situation changed, my socializing situation was changed, because I was used to going out weekends, partying, raving, center of attention,
champagne,
all
the
that
man.
life, the man, to kind of a complete different lifestyle. And for sometimes I was angry. I'll be honest, I was angry with God. I was angry that like I remember there was Pacific friends' birthday parties, and I'd pray about like, Lord, is this the right place for me to go? And God was saying, no, you don't want to go back into that environment, because it's going to pull you out. The music, the environment's going to pull you back out. So I just needed to just walk a certain walk. And
do you think that your way of transitioning from the world and the things that you was doing before to this new person, this new man that you are, could have been done in a different way? Do you feel like it was very, because when you describe it, it sounds so drastic.
It was extreme.
But do you feel like it was necessary for you to stay on track, or could you have done it in a different way?
Personally, I think yes. I think like I come from a culture in it, and the code is like you keep it real, you keep it 100. So I didn't want to come into the faith and not be real, not be real with myself, not be real with God, and not be real around the people that I was around, and most importantly to you and my family. So like going through it was hard, but looking back I can understand why, because what I'm starting to understand, and I don't think people really understand this, is that like when God is about to bless you, or God is going to bless you, and God's going to give you resources, or is going to give you people to look after or be a leader over, you need to be a person of integrity. You need to have certain principles within you. And it's only now in hindsight I can look back and think, oh, that's why you humbled me. That's why you let me catch the bus for many years, because I had to learn that my self-worth and who I was not defined by the external things, because I used to judge my confidence, my character, my identity, my value from external things.
Right.
But now I started to realize that God loves me. It's an internal thing, that I am somebody, that I'm from a royalty, and it came from within through my faith, from a relationship with Christ, that gave me my value, my sense of purpose, and that then helped me to become who I am today.
So I want to ask one other question, because I think for men, women, we might be a little bit different, because we might find our friends might be able to talk, we can talk to them, or sometimes we're in the salon getting our hair done and it's therapy in there. But did you have anybody or any people that you were talking to or getting help from during that time? I'm thinking of your mental health now in that season, or was it just you and God and me, you and God getting through that together? But did you ever have people that you could lean to for advice, or just to air out how you was feeling, or is that something that you've developed more now?
Unfortunately, it feels like there was more seasons where I was alone than with people, but there's definitely individuals that did come alongside me and had real talk. I always have to give salute to the Bringing Hope family, Robin and Carver. There was a season when they was very helpful. Bishop Brooks, definitely helpful. From a business mentorship perspective, Carl George. There's definitely key figures that has definitely held me. Is that making sense? And even my own dad, and his phone calls and advice and stuff like that. But understanding the depth of the journey, I really had to walk that road alone. And that's why I think I'm so passionate about the young guys coming through, because I don't think it should be that lonely, to be honest. I really have to say, only through the grace of God that I survived. Some things were hard, especially when you're dying to like a social lifestyle. And it's like, obviously when we was living in that apartment, for example, that was based in Birmingham City Centre, and I could hear the clubs at night. And
across the road.
Sometimes it felt like it was tormenting me. Because I was just like,
I can remember those times.
And I used to just walk up and down. I used to recite.
Pace that living room floor
for hours
praying.
And I'd just be like reading out loud Psalms 91. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide. And I used to that's how I got through it.
So we've talked a lot today and uncovered quite a lot about struggle and our struggles. We've seen sometimes we've seen many times. We said our vows And we say for richer for poorer, in sickness and in health. We've had for poorer. We've had sickness and sickness. We've had a lot of tragedy. We've had a lot of upset, a lot of going without, a lot of lack. And I feel like for us, it's helped us to be stronger together. I feel like we've built so much. Do you think that couples give up too easily?
1000%. They think the grass is green on the other side. 100%.
Weeds on the other side. Green weeds.
I 100% think they give up too quick, and I don't think that this generation's got resilience in terms of being able to go through the storm. I'm trying to say, but actually that storm's not there to break you, it's to make you.
Yeah. And it is about sharing the experiences and helping others to understand that you do go through things together. I think, you know, an answer to the question, I do feel like there is a lower level of resilience. Whether people give up or whether they realise that there's a get out clause, because, you know, people get into relationships now with the idea that it's all right, I can jump ship if I want to anyway.
You want to build your thing on like this. If it's not trust and you have doubt, that I think that means you probably haven't done your premarital counselling properly. You don't really know who you're getting involved with. Yeah, you like that there. Yeah,
I see what you did there.
My takeaways from this episode is like, never let your problems get you down. You got to stay focused and hold your ground. Life is not easy. And we still go through a lot.
Yeah.
And there is times when you think, should I still do this? It's trust your vision. Trust your vision.
Yeah.
Even though you might not be able to see it yet, trust the vision, because we cannot express how it's so much better on the other side of the fear, of the doubt. But you do have to work together. And I really would say is just as a couple is invest in quality time. I know it's so tempting to just look at everybody else's life and scroll.
Yeah.
And
well, they seem to be all right. Or they're doing this and they're going there and they're
knock it off and
forget
just
that.
build your
Focus
stuff
on what you need to do.
100%.
Definitely.
And learn how to practice contentment, because we had beautiful times when we had that £5 as well. Even though it was hard, some of the emotion, we still had fun. We still made time for each other.
Think about it. Look at how we're talking about it now. Like, we're actually looking back and we're smiling, saying, no way. We had £5 to go into the shop with. And we got through it, and we look back at it now and we think, my God, that was a time, wasn't it? And it's a story that we can share and talk about. But it's also, I think, what's helped us to build the resilience in our relationships and also in ourselves, because when hard times come, you've experienced it before. You know what it feels like. You know what it looks like. You know how you can get through it.
I'm conscious that there's listeners now who are, cost of living is real.
Yeah.
I would say practically budget.
Yeah.
Practically talk about things.
I'd say we've uncovered a lot today around the fact that faith is that unimaginable stuff, that impossible stuff that you think can't happen. But when you have faith, anything is possible. I think we've uncovered about having vision, having a joint vision for your lives, and not just an individual one where you want to do one thing and he wants to go off and do his own thing, but how are you coming together to actualize that vision? I think that's a big...
I think one that Bishop would say, don't make rash decisions based on temporary feelings. Yeah, don't make
rash decisions
based on temporary feelings.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Between the Sheets podcast with Nathan and
Sabrina Dennis.
We have really enjoyed sharing an insight to a bit of our life. I hope you really getting some value from this. Like, give us some comments, like DM us, let us know how we're doing.
Don't forget to do all that good stuff, that like, subscribe, share and comment, and keep in touch with us.
Come on, get following.
Thank you for joining.